Hi, I'm Stacy.
And I'm Jeremy from Gooseberry Bridge Farm. We've had our freeze dryer for over 2 years now, and we couldn't be without it. We want to help you get one too. Harvest Right is giving away a medium freeze dryer on March 3rd. To enter, comment on this video for one entry, and you'll get another entry for every other video in this collaboration that you comment on.
Okay, we just want to thank the Inquisitive Farm Wife for putting this whole collaboration together. You can check her page out and see a playlist with all the videos in the collaboration in the description.
We put this video together specifically for this collaboration. We have lots of other videos showing other things that we've freeze-dried, and also a lot of videos of us preparing foods that we've made with the freeze-dried items. So be sure to check those out. We also have pantry tour videos and inventories and explanations of a lot of the things that we've preserved by either canning or freeze-drying, like all the stuff you see behind us.
In this video, we will go through the process of freeze-drying ground beef, and then we'll make one of our favorite meals out of the freeze-dried ground beef and other ingredients that we freeze-dried and canned from the pantry. Okay, this is cooked ground beef. We cooked it last night, and now we're trying to stir it up. Molly's doing a horrible job.
It's cold.
Yeah, it's kind of hard because it's cold. Anyway, we're going to put it on our trays here, and we're going to weigh them to see how much ground beef fits on a tray. This pot contains, I think this is a 10 quart,
Yes.
9 quart,
9 quart.
and it is full of 14 pounds of uncooked ground beef. So I don't know.
Now it's cooked,
and now
so-
it's cooked. I don't know what it weighs, but anyway, we're going to freeze dry it. We're going to try to give ourselves a good idea of how much we can fit in the large freeze dryer. We're going to try to break up the clumps as we do this to promote even drying, just because that's how freeze drying is, and meat especially, we want to make sure it's all completely evenly dry. So with freeze dried ground beef, you can add this straight to soups or sauces and let it absorb liquid in the sauce. It would thicken the sauce quite a bit because it's dry, but you could also add liquid to it, or you could hydrate it. Hydrating with broth is my favorite idea because it adds not only nutritional value but flavor. Okay, 1 pound 10.6 ounces is what we fit on this tray. It might be a little bit thick, so I'd probably say 1.5 pounds of cooked meat per tray is what we're aiming for. Okay, so we are adding a little bit to each tray because we figured out that we can pretty much fit 2 pounds on a tray if we're really pushing it. Get it all the way to the edges and making sure it's pretty full and even. Even is more important than really how thick it is. The other thing is that we are always pushing the limits of how much you can fit in a freeze dryer load. So why stop with meat? So if we can fit 2 pounds per tray and it works, and this is 2 pounds cooked, so it's going to be about 10 pounds of meat, and I'm hoping that we can fit all of this, and then we'll know that it was 14 pounds uncooked, 10 pounds cooked. We didn't weigh what it was cooked, so that's throwing off our measurements a bit.
What? You make no sense.
We didn't weigh it when it was cooked.
Yes, but we're weighing it now.
We're weighing it now. We didn't weigh it all when it was cooked, so I don't know how much is left. I mean, I do, but I don't. I can see it.
The right amount here is
Yeah.
a little over 10 pounds.
So we're just making it just a little bit thicker on each tray. And I was going to also mention why we're doing this. We had a bull go to the butcher last week, so he's going to be here probably tomorrow or the next day, and he's going to have to fit in the freezer. Obviously not him, his meat, but we are using up the last of the last cow by getting it freeze dried or otherwise cooked. Okay, so we couldn't fit all of the meat in our 14 pounds pot, but here is what we did fit. So each tray has about 2 pounds of cooked ground beef. So that's a large freeze dryer. It will hold 10 pounds of cooked ground beef. I will show you in a minute if this was a good idea. Molly's really being silly. Okay, so anyway, this is how thick it is, just so you can get a good idea. It goes a little bit above the edge, probably more than we should have put in here, but we'll see. I've always had really good luck with this. It will take a longer time to process. I will show you how much is left of our original 14 pounds. This really doesn't tell you much of anything. I would say there was enough here. There's probably less than 2 pounds left, but I can't tell you that for sure. Okay, we're putting our insulator in now. The newer freeze dryers don't have these, and really we've left it off before and it's worked, but we put it in there because you're supposed to with our model. And then we're going to start. This product is not frozen. Wow, my nails are dirty.
Close the valve.
Yes, Molly's gonna close the valve, and 55 degrees is the current temperature because we just put a bunch of cold food in here. So we will come back and see what this did in a minute. A minute for you, probably what, 24 hours for us?
Yeah.
The other reason we're starting is tonight is because there's a cold front coming through, and we were at like 70 degrees today, but tomorrow the high is gonna be 32. This freeze dryer puts off enough heat to keep our building that we're in right now, which houses our dried flowers, turn around, but also goat meds and other things that we don't want to freeze. There's Molly again. So we like to keep it above freezing in here, and what better way than also freeze drying food. All right, it's a little loud, but we are checking the ground beef. Looks pretty dry. Looks pretty much like ground beef. I'm gonna get it out of here and see if there's any spots. It was in there for 29 hours and 29 minutes. I did add extra time last night. I think it's just some fat. Yeah, it's not ice crystals. That's what I was looking for.
We're making Sloppy Joes tonight out of the hamburger that we freeze dried along with some other freeze dried ingredients. We've got about 3 pounds of cooked freeze dried ground beef. We've got some bell peppers. We've got a mixture of yellow, white, and red onions. We've got some Italian seasoning. We've got vinegar, garlic, tomato sauce, homemade ketchup that we made out of tomatoes from our garden, which is amazing, and some tomato soup that we've made up. And and also the sauce, which I'm not going to try to say the name of because I'll open myself to ridicule. Here we go. We're going to start out with our freeze-dried ground beef. Each one of these jars has a little over a pound. Our recipe that we use, which was made for fresh ground beef, called for 4 pounds. We are altering it for freeze-dried to use about what we estimate to be just a little over 3 pounds, which is 4 pounds raw. So, since it's freeze-dried, this stuff is dry. We're going to be rehydrating it in the process of cooking it with all of these wet ingredients. So we're going to go ahead and turn the heat on. And we're back. We have switched burners because when we set all this up, we forgot that this pan does not work on this burner because it's an induction cooktop, and the heating plate on this pan is just a tiny bit too small. So we are adding 1 quart of tomato sauce. We are adding approximately a cup, that's a little more than a cup, of our homemade ketchup. And we're adding an entire can or a pint of our homemade tomato soup. We're going to stir that in, and this is not going to behave like our normal recipe because it's freeze-dried meat and it's going to soak up a lot of that juice. So we're going to add some chicken broth to rehydrate. It's one of the cool things about freeze-drying meat is that you can rehydrate it with something besides water. But we're going to make a little slurry, for lack of a better term, out of the meat and tomato product before we add our chicken broth. We're going to add just about a cup or so at a time till the consistency starts to look about right. All in all, we're probably going to use about 2 cups of chicken broth. You could do more, you could do less. It all depends on what you want your meat to be rehydrated with. And we also have to remember that we're adding other freeze-dried products, such as the onions and peppers. So they're going to suck up some moisture as well. I'm going to go ahead and put the onions and peppers in. Get those all incorporated. I'm going to go ahead and add some more of that chicken broth, about another cup. It's one of the nice things about this particular Sloppy Joe recipe that we use a lot in our house is that there's no order to anything. You can just pretty much add everything and then let it simmer. We're going to add some minced garlic, Italian seasoning, and about a 1/4 cup of white vinegar. And an equal amount of the stuff. That's really it for ingredients. We'll let this cover this and let it simmer for a little bit. It's going to take a little bit of time for that hamburger to rehydrate, and that will change the consistency. Right now it's about the consistency we would want, but it's going to thicken up. It's going to thicken up a little bit as we move on, so we're going to keep an eye on it and add a little bit of chicken broth as needed. We've let this cook for about 20 minutes and it is done. We've taste tested it and it tastes good. The texture is good. The lamb does not agree, but you know, she's an herbivore. At the end of the day, for about 3 pounds of beef, we had to add about 3 cups of chicken broth or other liquid. So add that at your discretion, and if you get too much, you can always just cook it down a little bit to make it thicker.